Well, Josh, great presentation so far. Great summit so far. Learning a ton from all of our previous presenters, and appreciate you putting all of this together, Josh. It's been a great journey so far. We have our last presentation here, and just want to kind of talk a little bit about your story and your journey, Josh, with the Good Swings Happens Golf Academy, and how you kind of went from working in the shop, your story from beginning to end. So, without further ado, Josh, I think we just jump in here. Josh, why did you start teaching golf, and why do you teach golf now? So that's a cue to the next slide there, please.
Yeah, I just, I came from a non-golf background. I did not grow up as a golfer, kind of in these stories about how things went. I played baseball and basketball. I went to school, kind of thought physical education. I've always loved working with kids, always loved playing sports, being outdoors. So being a teacher was always kind of on the queue. But I didn't get into golf until later in life, and kind of had played baseball up until my arm wasn't strong enough, and everybody got a lot bigger and faster, and then that ended. I went a different business route, and went the route of making money and running businesses and stuff, and got to a point where I wasn't happy at all, and I wasn't tapped into anything where I found passion and like I was contributing the way I wanted to, and literally had a sort of a moment where I had to decide whether I was going to take the left path or the right path, and chose golf, and sort of just said, I'm going to be a golf instructor. I'm going to immerse myself in the game. I'd always loved golf. My grandfather, my experiences with him, as limited as they were on the golf course, were some of the best memories I had in life, which speaks back to a lot of the golf as a game for a lifetime tag. Golf connected me with family in ways that no other sport has. So I lived that. I don't just speak about that. And I literally cold turkey worked at a Nevada Bob's for a year, learning about golf. Knocked on the door of my head professional here at the Lakes at El Segundo 20 something years ago, and said, I want to teach golf. And she said, yeah, sure you do. Go work in the shop. And so I started working in the shop 40 hours a week. And, over the course of a year plus, worked my way into helping to manage, and finally got an opportunity to help as an assistant instructor in a 1-hour Sunday clinic. Was eventually able to teach 5 lessons a week, I think it was. And I kind of, even at that point, I had to document what I was doing just so that the professional knew that I had a clue. And I literally migrated from nothing into barely something into a little bit more, and then moved my way out of the shop and into golf operations, and 100% into being a teacher, independent contractor, instructor. And then everything that has happened out of that has sort of really evolved over the years, to progressing from being someone who was just a golf instructor to founding Good Swings Happen Junior Golf Academy, to have a larger presence around the group programs, and it's kind of gone from there.
So maybe walk me through that a little bit more, Josh, and that, you start off in the shop, you're teaching a few lessons here and there, you're maybe running a summer camp or a group event. And so what was the process from doing maybe one event, summer camp, to building out Good Swings Happen Golf Academy, which you started, and moving out to a full-time instructor? And Tyler, if we can go to the next slide, please. So you said you kind of started from maybe a lack of programming, a lot of one-on-one lessons, to a few group things, to kind of building out this pyramid here that we see, right? So from a tier 1 to a tier 2 to a tier 3. Again, walk us through kind of how that came to be.
Yeah, I think that and it's kind of interesting, as for those of you who are listening in, and I'm going to guess that there's just a range of professionals that hopefully most of the people here stand in front of youth and are leading kid programs and whatever it is you do, hopefully golf specific. You started somewhere, and you evolved into who you've become, and experiences, and picking up tidbits along the way added to who you are right now. I literally was teaching golf lessons at this point in my career. I had 2 young kids. I started to see that there was this school year life, and then there was a summer life where life went day to day in the school year till weekends, and in the summer it went week to week until you got to the end of the summer. And I just, it really started by polling people. We've talked a lot offline, Anthony, about seeking to understand and trying to know your customer and what do people really, really want out there. And it became very clear to me through this process that kids want things that are fun, and parents want things that are substantial and life lesson / golf lessony. And they wanted me to keep their kid for 5 or 6 hours at a time during a summer week so that they could do whatever they had to do. So a single summer camp program came out of a need for the kids that I work with. The parents said, you need to take my kid for longer than a half hour at a time. And we created a golf camp. And this is 12, 13, whatever, many years ago. That one golf camp became 3 golf camps, became 5 golf camps, became 8 golf camps, became divided into 5 to 7-year-old camps and 7 to 14-year-old camps and elite camps. So everything that we do on a larger scale, and again, there's ingredients, we'll get to it. We're blessed to have I've moved into a different situation, another story for another day. But we had a facility that allowed us to run these things. We had a staff of instructors, a team of people that also taught that we work with. So we had enough staff and people around to help facilitate larger programs with a greater number of kids. And we had the physical space at the facility to do it. So literally everything, derived out of, man, I'm becoming more successful and I have a larger audience. How do I continue to offer things that they're interested in? And then those things just became exponential in nature.
Awesome. So Tyler, if you can do next slide, we're actually going to have you jump next slide, and then we'll have you jump one more. So kind of what Josh is talking about right there, right? So you see the pyramid there. It's all about building better, right? So one of the things I love, and I've really had, the opportunity to get to know you a lot better. Our discussions, are come a lot more in depth. And one of the things that I'm really learning about you, Josh, is that you don't really want to stop at kind of 1, 3, 8, 12, right? You're looking always to kind of see what is next out there. Additionally, you're in constant communication or good communication with your parents, kind of checking out the temperature, right? So what is the temperature out there with your consumer base? What is it that they are wanting? So, with that, your ability to develop out additional programs, you're really hitting a lot of nails on the head. So maybe talk us through, again, going from 3 to 8 to 12 to 25, and what that story is and why.
Um, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I think that the growth just I mean, again, it's a demand-based thing. And this is, I think that, when I listen to the story in similar fashion of what Richard Franklin is doing, what the Op 36 guys are doing, what the urban youth guys are doing in the organizational sort of side of things, is that when people do a really, really good job of offering what they offer, more and more people want to do it. And I think that, the irony, at least in my experience, and I'm not, my goal has always been to try to follow, what is the customer want, the seek to understand. And ironically, even in the golf space, it is my belief that the more fun you make an experience for the kid, the more that kid wants to participate with you. And if there are values tied to those things, then it's even more so, because we're giving the kid more than they quote unquote bargained for. And that's where the parent then taps in and says, wait a second, it's awesome that my kid had fun. That's fantastic. But you're also articulating that you're doing more than just having fun with them. They're getting better at golf. We can see that that's happening, but they're learning life skills. We have a whole mental mantra thing, again, for another time, breathing and calming and focusing, all these things that surround obviously better golf, but also are things that will help someone become a better person. Kids want outdoor, organized, fun things. Parents, God, if this last year hasn't taught us anything, I mean, I don't know anybody out there who's not just pulling their hair out. If we offer programs for people, they will come do them, as long as they're fun and as long as you have the ability for them to continue through those experiences.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the things that's really interesting here too is, you still gave a fair amount of one-on-one lessons, but even for adults, not just juniors, but really kind of golfers in general, right? So, one of the things that I love about this graph here is, in the age of COVID, right? So we have people knocking down our doors to learn about golf. We have more people than ever, at our driving ranges. And if someone were to call you and say, I need a introductory level program for my kid who's 6, or I have someone who's 13, or I have, I'm an adult, I'm looking to play, right? Some of our coaches out there are so busy, they're booked 2 weeks out in advance, right? So they're giving a lot of one-on-one lessons. They might not have the availability. Josh, I know if a parent were to call you, or an adult for that matter, who's looking to play golf, you would have a place for that, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was, and again, in the wonderful world of the reality in life, up until COVID, we had built 20 years of exactly that, which is a continuation of growth in adult programs, youth programs, and those things. COVID obviously stopped everybody in its tracks. I'm going through a change of facilities, migrating just into a partnership with Precision Golf Centers with fellow PGA professional Jeremy Okawa, and it's going great. We're creating access as we speak to other facilities locally to do more programming. So while we've had a little bit of a halt, and that's the reality of life sometimes, we're gearing right back up to go right back to where we were so we can get caught back up. There has to be a team approach to being successful in a larger way. And when I say team, obviously it starts with, and I've been blessed to have a group of other instructors who feel the same way about youth development, creating better golfers, guys, gals that are really, really good at teaching golf, but I can throw into a situation to lead a station or run a program or run a camp without blinking, and they can take care of it. Without those things, it would have been difficult. So that level of team is critical if you're going to do more. Team also, as in the management group that's at your facility. Do I have a relationship with who runs my golf course, so to speak, if we're in those positions, so that they see the value in what we offer, numerically revenue driven stuff, but also levels of participation. If I have that level of teamwork as well, then I'm going to be in a better position. And then I think that, the third team is like you said, and I know this is what the section does so well and is doing so much better, is I need to be able to communicate to my customers using databases and all the different means that are out there so that I can stay in touch with my customer. If I have a good team supporting me to be a good, alerter of folks of what is going on, then I'm going to hit all the buttons and be able to drive it.
Yeah, Tyler, and speaking of that, Tyler, if we can get to the next slide. You talk about the team, right? So not only the management team and having the access to the course, but your team below you, right? So in so many of these great academy situations or great instructors, they realize obviously they're not able to do it themselves, or if they try to do it themselves, what ends up happening is you get pretty burnt out, right? So one of the things, and when we talk about it, I love that you're able, to bring on a staff, and you might not need the most technically savvy instructor to teach, basic fundamentals to a 7-year-old, right? What you need is someone who loves golf, and probably most importantly loves to work with kids and loves helping people. But I know, Josh, in our conversations, you've talked about building that team, and your job really is when you bring people on. It's first and foremost kind of finding those people, which we'll talk about a little bit from our section tool standpoint a little bit later. But the second thing is just kind of sharing your vision and getting people to buy into your vision, and then essentially creating 5 or 10 mini Josh Alperts running around. So you're not having to stress yourself out so much, taking so much one-on-one time on. So maybe talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it's sort of it's in the challenge bucket, and there's certainly lots of them that are out there. It's tough. Yeah, it's running a 20, 30, 40 player program obviously requires a lot more coordination, so to speak, than just doing your typical one-on-one lesson. So there is a lot more that goes into it. Um, but from a staff perspective and a team perspective, especially when you have longevity, and look, when I started, I only taught a handful of people, so it was a different scenario. But I think maybe, and part of what we hope that this whole youth summit is about is, if you're sitting wherever you are and you're looking into a future of becoming a golf professional for the next 5, 10, 15 years, what started to happen for me in my experience was I started teaching players. Obviously, they become high school players. The high school kids are mentors. They're kids that you've grown up, you know them, you've been working with them. Those kids become the best eligible assistant type of a golf professional. A college player that I work with who comes back for the summer and is there all summer, and they know that maybe they can hit some free balls and make minimum wage to help us with the camp. It's the absolute best thing that they could possibly be doing for the summer. Make some money, be around golf, and then they get to share those exact same experiences with a 5-year-old kid or a 7-year-old kid or whatever. That's actually exactly who I want sitting at a lunch table with a 5 to 7-year-old. I don't need the single greatest swing mechanical genius in the world to sit down with a group of kids during break and have fun with them. I need that relationship. And so I think that naturally what happens is what we grow is becomes the support that helps to grow it on the next level. So yeah, layers. You got to have elite level coaches and or highly competent coaches to do the technical aspects, but your staff below that can just be people who are good with kids and kids who've come through the program. So there's a lot of available resource to help support it. You have to look for them, and you have to organize it that way.
Right. And I think it's so important. We talk about this a ton, Josh, is, I think a lot of people, may have the misconception that parents bring their kids to your golf program to become better golfers. That is, when I was working in golf in schools and we were seeing a lot of beginning golfers, and that might be the case, for kids who are playing for 3, 4, 5, 7 years, it was really more about learning. It was about the great lessons of our game. And by the way, from a coach's perspective, one of the cool things, Josh, I think is, if you didn't want to teach at that lower level, right? Let's say you didn't really want to teach beginners. Let's say you didn't really want to, it would, whatever the case may be, the way you set up your academy as far as your pyramid goes is that you could just teach elite players, and that you have people, you have a staff of people working and developing out all of the beginners to then come see you, right? So you're making you can essentially create your own pathway to just one-on-one lessons if that's all you wanted to do with better players, right? So Tyler, next slide, please.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think that a part of what's been interesting about this summit, for me to watch, and for, again, if you're sort of sitting out there, everyone's sitting in a chair somewhere, um, doing something. There's specialists all over the place. Like, what is a golf professional in this discussion? I mean, is it someone who just gives golf lessons? Is it someone who is, TPI, fitness, urban golf type of a direction? Is it, like, is it somebody who only works with elite players, or mostly elite players and some beginners? So that there isn't one answer as to what a golf professional looks like. I think that sort of becomes the big question is, if you're on this call and you're looking in the mirror, who do you want to be in this discussion? What is your ideal sense? Tyler, do the next slide, please. If you get, you could be any number of things. You could be, in my situation, I think you could almost think of it. All right, well, if I'm in a position now to have a lot of kids doing programming, I could just hand select the best players, and that'll be what I work with. That's not what I want to do. That's actually not what I'm trying to do. I love working with elite players. I love working with better juniors. I do. The kids that I know and grow up with and care and love, I end up working with them and supporting them through college and have worked with professional players. That's not my choice to focus on that. My choice is to focus on supporting making golf fun, so everybody wants to take a step in. When they take a step in, they want to come back and they want to stay. And I'd prefer to kind of just stay in this level where I'm touching all levels of it a little bit, because I like all the levels. That doesn't, that's just my answer. Somebody else's answer could be whatever it is. But whoever you do want to become, the point would be, what is it? What are your challenges? And what is it that you need to do to get there?
Yeah. And I love that, Josh, and I love that, it's kind of, and in that slide, and I think we jumped it, but in that slide you talked about taking one step, one drop in the bucket, one rung up the ladder. And I think a message out to, a lot of professionals on this call is not necessarily we need to do 25 programs, but we should probably have 3 or 4, or however you want to start. The goal is we want to try to capture as many of this newfound interest, and groups and programming, apart from one-on-one lessons. It's just a great way to do it. And we didn't really get into the finances of that group discussion, but for just to get everybody's wheels spinning here, obviously if you charge $150 an hour for a one-on-one lesson, and you can do a group lesson for 75 per, with a max of 3 or 4 students. If you're getting 4 paying 75, your revenue per event hour, right, is almost doubled. And especially too with a lot of these beginning players, they don't really need a lot of time one-on-one, right? So it's an opportunity for them to get some root instruction. It's an opportunity for you to get them some time to maybe do a little practice on their own, and then coming back to kind of assess, right? And in a weird way, Josh, we talk about all the time, it might be actually a better way for some of our beginners to learn the game of golf, or figure out for themselves with a little bit of help.
No, absolutely. I mean, for kids, there's no question about it. I mean, finances for the parent, obviously, and then to your point, finances for how much does an hour of programming generate. You're right. If you have 8 kids paying a smaller amount of money, that ends up becoming a much larger amount of money for the hour booked. That's a good financial model. The reality is that everything that we've heard about today, starting with our earliest speakers, is about, man, if you offer this setup on a putting green where a kid who is just like, what is that? And you have drawn them to your program because you have set it up so that it is intriguing. And then you run them through games that are fun and awesome and cool. And you mix in some life skill stuff. And then you have a database and a system to immediately email and send a note to that parent. Hey, by the way, this is the fun we had. Your kid had a blast. Ask them what their best fun thing that they did was. Also ask them about the mental mantra that they learned, because I want you to be able to know that we're trying to teach them more than that. You're communicating with them, you're sharing best practices, you're running this thing. By the way, the kid was playing with 2 or 3 of his friends. The single best question that I've been asking parents is, it's awesome that we work with Johnny, but I'll tell you what, if Johnny has one of his friends participate, I swear to you, I'll put them together as partners. Which is seemingly like, yeah, duh, of course I'm going to do that. I get more emails in summer camp now that say, Josh, I know you're going to think this is terrible, but could you please put this person, this person, this person, this person together, because they're now all friends, and then Johnny, and then these kids, it's just like, yeah, you start to create these groups of friendships and camaraderies that you could never do in a one-on-one world. And oh, by the way, at the end of a summer, if we had 2, 3, 400 in our situation, kids that came through a program, if all of those kids are then trying to figure out how they're going to program during the fall, all of your golf professionals now have a tremendous amount of leads of kids that had fun and are looking to what to do. And you can take that larger program and you can run group classes, and then that becomes revenue for the instructor. It's a chain that feeds it's a system that feeds a system.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, a lot of information there, and a lot of stuff that we've been talking about here at the section, and you'll see up here on the screen, we have our Scpg facility pathway checklist. So we've been doing a lot of time and spending a lot of time and doing a lot of research into what the industry leaders across our section are doing in regards to building out programming. What are the people like Josh doing. So we put together a list. So this is actually a list of 8 things. This is just the first page here. So this is a checklist, and this is a tool, and maybe getting into a little bit more of the philosophy of kind of where player development is going from the section standpoint, right? So I think for us, it's nice to hear all of these people talking about all of these different things, but sometimes it's a little bit difficult to connect the dots, right? So I'm at my facility. And, I think we do some of this stuff, but I'm not sure, so again, we put together this checklist for everyone to utilize, and we're going to send out the link post summit here. So you're going to get a link to a couple things, but this is going to be one of them. So everyone can download this survey and kind of assess, okay, well, where am I here now? Do I have a website, or do I have a PGA.com profile with a scheduling tool, right? So are my program options listed online, and are they listed 2 to 3 months in advance so people know where to go, know who I am, and know where they can sign up? You talked about your communication with the parents, or with really just kind of your consumer base in general, right? So that's so important, and something that we see across the board with our best facilities are doing a lot of communication. So, when I was running golf in schools, we'd see over 1,000 kids per year. And when we first started, we didn't do a lot of communication, and inevitably we'd get a lot of questions back. And I realized I was leaving it up to my kids to be my marketing person for me. So if any of you have kids, when they come home from school, you ask them, what did you learn today? Or how was school today? It's usually like a one word answer, like, oh, it was fine, or I don't know. Right. So I think that is so crucial and so important. Josh talks about those 400 kids who are coming for summer camps. It's crucial to stay in touch with your parent base and say, hey, we have something coming up in September, October, throughout the year, right? So, again, these are 2 of 8 aspects, and we have them all listed out for you, and some suggestions on what you can do to get started. So, Tyler, next slide, please. In addition to that, we built out a full toolkit on the back end of our SCPGA website. So not only do you have the checklist, but you see on the left here, you have a budgeting and revenue calculator. So, you can literally put out every single one of your programming options. You can list it on this budget sheet. You can put all your expenses, and it's going to spit out a number. And that number is going to be what you make, or maybe it's, all the numbers that you did last year. But, we talk about goal setting and having an idea for revenue that you want to make. I think it's a great starting point. And this is a great way for you to, maybe set a goal for 2021, or even, second half of 2021. I want to make X amount of revenue. The cool thing about this tool is you just plug in the numbers, and you get a great understanding of what you need to do, right? As far as number of players in your program. And then from there, it's just building out the programs to accommodate. And then, it's communication and marketing. So we also have some coach chats, or we're calling them now 3-piece takeaways. Josh, coach chat has actually gone out the window. So these 3-piece takeaways are videos with not only industry experts, but they're going to be outside of our industry experts, and talking a lot about, Chris Lohman, who is not in our industry. He's kind of adjacent, but he's a marketing expert. He works for St. Street Marketing, and he's going to give 3 things that you can do now to kind of help market yourself, right? So, I mean, it's a 15 to 20-minute chat. I encourage you to pull it up maybe on your commute into going to teach, or maybe coming back. Brady Riggs talking about his experience going from just starting out as a regular golf coach to, teaching at an elite level, right? That specialized, that very top of the pyramid there. And then Junko Suzuki talking about Family Cup. So, the all of these resources and tools are available on the back end of scpga.com. We're going to send out a specialized link at the end of this chat, at the end of the summit, so you guys can go dig around out there. Next slide, please, Tyler. So let's talk a little bit, and I kind of wanted to take a little bit of time to explain, or maybe give an insight as to what we're trying to do from the PGA standpoint, right? Because I think it's, sometimes everyone gets off on their island and they're saying, gosh, I'm so busy here. They don't really know maybe where their member dues are going, or they don't really know kind of where we're going as an association. So I think it's really important to kind of, maybe explain this a little bit more. And that pyramid's great, Josh, and we talk about this all the time, is that pyramid actually should be a funnel, right? So if you flip that pyramid upside down, The goal is to try to build out as many program options as you can, so you can accommodate as many people as you can. So, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that the PGA, the national team, is doing from their standpoint, and that really starts with the PGA.coach and PGA.com profile. So, for those of you who are on this call and who give lessons, who have a consumer base and do not have your PGA.com profile, if you don't have it, I would say you're missing the bus for sure. You go to PGA.coach, get ADM certified, create your .com profile, and I'll give you an example of what the national team is doing just ahead of the PGA Championship. So, we're going to be having a team of 10 instructors come and film some content. There's going to be national commercials that are going on ESPN. They're going to be doing a full social media blitz, talking about the PGA.com profiles and getting the general public who's watching the PGA Championship to go check out some of these profiles. So in addition to that, people going on the PGA Championship website, checking the scores. For those of you who have gone on PGA.com and checked the scores, you'll see on the 4th spot there, they have on that leaderboard, they'll show a coach. So how they do that is a consumer might, Josh works in El Segundo, and you might have a consumer watching the PGA Championship or checking the score. It's like in Redondo Beach. And if Josh has a PGA.com profile, which he does, that person from Redondo Beach is going to go and check the scores, right? The Josh Alpert's name as a coach is going to be popping up there, and that person checking the leaderboard can click on Josh's name and find out a little bit more information about his instruction offerings. Lastly, from a section standpoint, we've been working really hard to grow our database of consumers, a number of different ways: contests, mainly giveaways, raffles. But all of these people are golf interested consumers and are also interested in receiving lessons. So we feature 4 professionals per month via our database, 60,000 person database here in Southern California. If you're not one of the 4 featured, the great thing is when someone goes and clicks on the website, it's going to spit out a list of coaches by proximity. So again, similar, if someone goes on the PGA Championship, wherever you're located, if you have a PGA.com profile, we might be featuring one coach, but you might be the beneficiary because you're the closest in proximity. So your name's also going to pop up on the PGA.com coach list. So, again, from our standpoint, we're trying to create as many people coming in through the top of the funnel. Our goal is really to try to get all of our courses to have programming options to capture it. And we don't want the people falling through the funnel, right? So we want that net. You think about that, that funnel we don't want any holes in that funnel. We want everyone to stay in that funnel. So next slide, please, Tyler. So you've heard Josh say this, right? Probably a dozen times today, and we talk about this all the time as well. So seek to understand, and I think for us as a section, we're really looking to understand what the climate is out there for our professionals, right? So not just myself, Josh Alpert as chair of the player development committee, Junko Suzuki, our regional league manager. We want to know what the challenges, what good, bad, and ugly is out there, so we can try to help address as a section and an association. So I'll give you an example of what that may be. Josh, in my travels working with our professionals, we're talking about a lot of these program offerings and people cannot find help. People cannot find assistant instructors to help them with their programming. So, we're here at the section, we're developing out a program to help all of our coaches find assistants to help them during their busy peak hours, right? So we're going to be working with our junior tour, some of the alumnus, and then also current eligible students who might be interested in assisting at their local facility. So we're gonna give them a little bit of training beforehand, and we're gonna segment them out geographically. So, kind of our goal is really to try to hook them up with a facility. We did have a question in the Q&A about how that affects our amateur status. The great news is the USGA just amended some of the rules to allow for some of those amateurs to be able to coach recreationally and not jeopardize their amateur status. So, Josh, I'm going to stop here, in just real quickly. We're going to send out a survey, um, you know, kind of accompanying our toolkit and our checklist. So please take a few minutes to fill out the survey. We can't really help if we don't understand. We really want to understand what's going on out there, and then we want to try to tackle it as a section, um, and really as a whole community for the greater good.
Anthony, I think you summed it up from that standpoint. I just want to, reiterate to everybody out there. And I think it's just a big moment for all of us. Look, junior golf, youth golf, golf in general, it's really, really an important time for us right now. We're fighting against inactivity. We're fighting against these things. We have a big boom in the game, and there's a lot of people who are coming to golf courses and playing for really good reasons. If we do a better job of grabbing more of those people to stay for the long term, then we're going to be doing, we're going to have it all solved. And we have to take this opportunity while the game is hot to figure out how to get more of these people to stay. And it comes back to everything we've talked about, making it fun, being able to offer the programs. And it's great to know through this conversation that, that there's various organizations out there as examples, and the SCPGA section at the highest level that is available and willing and capable of helping everybody out there. Please reach back to the section after this call. If you have questions or there's ways that we can follow up, fill the survey out. We want to know what the problems are so that we can help try to figure out how to solve them. And if you have success stories and things that are going well, we want to know those too, and highlight who you are and what you do, because we're interested and because it's great to share. And that's the way the world works. That's how we get better as a golfing community. I do need to say that our section president, Robin Shelton, is here. Robin, are you, if you're available, I know you had some closing comments and words for us.
Well, hey, hopefully you can see me now and hear me now. Is it coming through okay this time?
Yep, we got you.
Perfect.
Cool. I think I hope everybody has enjoyed this time here together. I think what's cool about the virtual stuff is that you can still attend if you miss an hour, half hour, whatever. And there's so many good takeaways that hey, everybody's still committed to. And I took some kind of notes throughout this whole thing. And one of the things that kept resonating throughout me was, I think we've all kind of heard that line from Jack Nicklaus about, hey, don't be too proud to take lessons. That he wasn't. And we've probably all used that at some point in our career. And I think, as you hear all of these great presenters and ideas, is, hey, don't be too proud to ask for help. There are so many resources that are out there, and so many people. And you can see, Anthony's just got so much information, stories from other clubs. Josh Alpert, I don't know who's more passionate about what he does. And I loved his part about talking about, hey, knowing who you are. And Josh knows so many people, not just in, the industry, but our community and the player development side of things. So if it's not Josh, he can put you in touch with other people. So, don't be afraid to take lessons. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because there are so many, great resources. And I think this summit is a great reminder of that. So I hope everybody's enjoyed it. And just glad you're all here and getting some takeaways to use, and never be too proud to ask for help, because there's so many great resources on this call. So kudos to Josh and then the whole player development committee for putting this together.
Thank you, Robin. Really appreciate that. And I think we're gonna sign off here. We're 10 minutes over our allotted. Anthony, did you want to weigh in on post chat room?
Yeah, if anyone just wants to hang on, if they have questions or maybe some challenges or stuff you want to chat about, we're going to be on for another 5 or 10 minutes, just kind of hanging out. Feel free to type it in there. And then I posted a link on the chat page. If anyone's interested in the PGA.com profile, they're going to be hosting what they call an office hours. They're going to be able to answer any questions you may have. They're also working on a booking and registration side as well. It's going to be that's going to be complimentary if you're a PGA professional. So if you're interested in hearing from the PGA National Tech Team about that, feel free to follow that link, and they'll fill you in a little bit more on that as well.
Thank you very much. Just to give you the final piece of information from the raffle session, we held a raffle at the beginning once we gathered all the entries, and Alan Ochiai wins the foursome at Virginia Country Club. So Alan, if nobody gets back to you on that, then I'll go ahead and take it in your place. But congratulations on the final win, the Virginia Country Club foursome. Thank you everyone for attending. And this is just the beginning. Anthony and I were talking about that. This isn't the end of things. This is the start. And we're really looking forward to what the future holds in our game. So it's important stuff, folks.